In this class, we are going to discuss about the concept of elasticity of demand. We know that elasticity measures the sensitivity of one variable to another. That is, the percentage change that will occur in the variable in response to 1% increase or decrease in another variable. Therefore, elasticity of demand refers to the sensitiveness or responsiveness of quantity demanded of a good to change in its own price, income, or price of related goods. Accordingly, there are three kinds of elasticity of demand. They are the price elasticity of demand, that is change in demand due to its own price. It is termed as price elasticity of demand. Second one is the income elasticity of demand, that is change in demand due to the change in income. And third one is known as the gross elasticity of demand. Gross elasticity of demand means that change in quantity demanded due to the change in the price of other commodities. These are the three important types of elasticity of demand. That is, here elasticity measures the sensitiveness or the responsiveness of one variable to another. And elasticity of demand means the change in quantity demanded due to the change in other variables like on price, income, prices of related commodities, etc. And the price elasticity of demand measures the sensitivity of quantity demand to change in its own price of goods. And this already we have discussed. And the price elasticity of demand, it is given in details here. It is given in detail. Price elasticity of demand refers to the responsiveness or sensitiveness of quantity demanded of a good to changes in its own price. It is the ratio of proportionate change in the amount demanded to proportionate change in price. That is, price elasticity of demand equal to proportionate change in amount demanded divided by the proportionate change in price. That is, EP equal to delta Q by Q divided by delta P by P. Or this can be written as delta Q by delta P into P by Q. In terms of differentials, we can write this as price elasticity of demand equal to dQ by Q divided by dP by P, or dQ by dP into P by Q. The coefficient of price elasticity of demand is always negative. This is important because the price and the quantity demanded moves in opposite direction. Always the price elasticity, the coefficient of elasticity of demand will be negative. And the degree of elasticity of demand is given here. Usually the price elasticity of demand is classified into 5 categories. They are perfectly inelastic demand, inelastic demand, unitary elastic demand, and perfectly elastic demand. The first one is perfectly inelastic demand. When the quantity demanded does not change as a result of change in price, the demand is said to be perfectly inelastic. That is, there will be no response. The same quantity will be bought whatever the price may be. That is, whatever be the change in price, the same quantity will be bought. Numerical value of the elasticity will be 0 when there is perfectly or completely inelastic demand. The next important concept is inelastic demand. When the percentage change in quantity demand is less than the percentage change in price, the demand is said to be inelastic. That is, a certain percentage change in price leads to a smaller percentage change in quantity demanded. The coefficient of elasticity will be less than 1 but greater than 0. Inelastic demand means change in quantity demanded will be less than the change in price. That is, price change will be higher and the change in quantity demanded will be lesser compared to the change in price. And the third type of elasticity is unitary elasticity of demand. That is, the percentage change in price leads to an equal percentage change in quantity demanded. Then the demand is said to be unitary elasticity, and the coefficient of elasticity will be equal to 1. And the shape of unitary elasticity is like a rectangular hyperbola. Here, elasticity will be equal to 1 at every point. Next one is the elastic demand. That is, the percentage change in quantity demanded exceeds the percentage change in price. Here, the change in demand will be higher than the change in price. That is, a certain percentage change in price leads to a greater percentage change in quantity demanded, and the value of the coefficient of elasticity will be greater than, and it will be the elasticity of demand will be greater than 1, and it will be the curve will be a flatter curve. Next one is perfectly elastic demand. If a small change in price leads to an infinitely large change in quantity demanded, we can say that the demand is perfectly elastic. Here the elasticity of demand will be infinite, and the curve will be a horizontal line parallel to the x-axis. And the gross elasticity of demand is the next elasticity of demand. Gross elasticity of demand means elasticity of demand refers to the responsiveness of demand for one commodity to the change in the price of another. That is, the gross elasticity of demand between good X and Y is defined as the proportionate change in quantity demand of X resulting from a proportionate change in price of Y. That is, dou Qx by Qx divided by dou Py of Py. Or we can say dou Qx by dou Py into Pyx. The main determinant of gross elasticity of demand is the nature of commodities relative to their uses. The gross elasticity of substitute goods are given here. The nature of relationship between two goods in such a way that the increase in the price of one commodity is accompanied by an increase in the demand for another good, and a decrease in the price of one good causes a decrease in the demand for other goods are termed as substitute goods. Here, tea and coffee are substitute goods. That is, we can substitute tea for coffee if there is changes in price. Suppose if the price of tea increases, automatically the demand for coffee will increase. That type of elasticity is known as gross elasticity, and here the gross elasticity will be positive. Higher the gross elasticity, better the substitute goods. That is, two goods X and Y are substitutes if dou Qx by dou Py greater than 0 and dou Qy by dou Px greater than 0. If gross elasticity is high, goods are close substitute. If gross elasticity is less than 1, goods are poor substitute. If gross elasticity is 0, goods are unrelated. If gross elasticity is infinity, goods are perfect substitutes. Here the gross elasticity of complementary goods are given. Complementary goods are those goods which are jointly consumed. If two goods are complementary, that is jointly demanded, that is like car and petrol, pen and ink, they are complementary goods. A rise in the price of one leads to a fall in the demand for the other. Since price and demand vary in opposite direction, gross elasticity of demand is negative. That is, in the case of complementary goods, it will be negative. In the case of substitute goods, gross elasticity will be positive. That is, here dou Qx by dou Py less than 0 and dou Qy by dou Px less than 0. A rise in the price of car will bring a fall in their demand together with the demand for petrol. A fall in the price of coal will raise the demand for petrol. And another point is that the gross elasticity between two goods, whether substitute or complementary, has one-way relationship. That is, gross elasticity between tea and coffee may not be the same as coffee and tea. The gross elasticity between car and petrol may not be the same as petrol. There is only a one-way relationship. Next concept is the income elasticity of demand. Income elasticity of demand expresses the responsiveness of consumers' demand for any goods to the change in income. That is, it is the change in demand due to change in income. Income elasticity of demand is defined as the proportionate change in the quantity demanded resulting from a proportionate change in income. It is the responsiveness of demand for a product to change in income is termed as the income elasticity of demand. That is, income elasticity of demand is termed as EY. Dou dq by Qx divided by dy by dy. That is, change in quantity demanded of X due to the change in income. This can be written as dq by dy into y by q. Income elasticity may be positive, negative or zero depending upon the nature of commodities. If an increase in income leads to an increase in the quantity demanded of the commodity, the income elasticity is positive. That is, if an increase in income leads to an increase in the quantity demanded of the commodity, the income elasticity is positive. Normal goods Goods whose income elasticity of demand is positive are called the normal goods. In the case of normal goods, more goods are purchased as the income increases, therefore positive income elasticity. Normal goods are of three types: necessary, luxury and comforts. Luxury goods are those goods if income elasticity is positive and greater than unity. Such goods are known as, that is in the case the income elasticity will be greater than 1. Necessary income elasticity is positive but low, that is income elasticity will be less than 1. Comforts income elasticity of demand is unity, they are equal to 1. Such goods are known as the normal goods, or they are the different types of the goods which have different income elasticity. Another category is known as the inferior goods. If an increase in income leads to a fall in the demand for goods, its income elasticity is negative. That is, if an increase in income leads to a fall in the demand, usually an increase in income leads to an increase in the commodity demanded, but in the case of inferior goods, an increase in income will lead to such goods will lead to a fall in demand. Such goods are known as inferior goods. Here, income elasticity will be negative. If income elasticity is negative, such goods are called inferior goods.